Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and today in the States, we're celebrating Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's sort of well accepted that his favorite hymn, gospel hymn, was Take My Hand, Precious Lord. I thought we'd take a look at it today. Dr. King's funeral in 1968, Mahalia Jackson rather famously sang this song. And the song is attributed to Thomas Dorsy, a gospel composer, but apparently goes back much further than that. It's very similar to a song, Maitland. And let me just check the title on this. I wrote it down. That appears to be taken from the text song, Must Jesus Bear the Cross Alone? And that goes back well into the 18th century. And of course, there's a long tradition in church music of taking older melodies and rewriting them, creating new harmonies and lyrics for them. In Bach's chorales, he frequently bases the songs on older melodies, Gregorian chants. There's an idea that in Western music, the sort of foundational melodies are kind of all from this older liturgical tradition, Cantus Firmus. You might look that up. But in any case, in this song, Take My Hand, Precious Lord, it is a great example of gospel sweetness. And I thought we'd look at the way the harmonies work today, maybe play through it a little bit. Well, here you can see my old copy. I scanned it for us so we could take a look at it. I think this was from a book that I've owned for many, many years. And it's, it's a typical sort of piano arrangement. There's lots of flexibility in this. And then over on the right, the Wikipedia article. All right, let's just pop back into Logic. Just very quickly, the chord cycle is pretty straightforward. A flat, A flat 7, a kind of a D flat 6, back to 1, the A flat, and that was F minor to E flat, which is the 5 chord. And then going on, back to 1, and then there's the 1, 7, and of course it takes us to the 4 chord. I love this little walk up. And right there, that moment is worth taking a good close look at. Let's just play through it again. That's the 1. That's the 1, 7 over the third of the chord, the C in the bass. And then that beautiful 4 chord. The next thing that happens is a 1 chord over the 5, right? Very dramatic. And then triplet. And then this 5, 7, and then listen to this. This is a 1 diminished chord resolving back to 1. And that's a beautiful passing chord. Oh, let's continue. One of the signature sounds of gospel music, and really rock and pop as well, is something called the Plagal Cadence. Plagal. Really what it means is the inverted 4 chord going back to 1. It looks like this in this tune. And here it's easy to visualize the D flat going to the A flat, the 4 chord going to 1. And any motion like that. We can do it on the 5 chord as well. 5 goes to the 1 chord and back again. works beautifully kind of like every time, sort of no matter where you put it. I also do love that diminished chord sliding back into one, right? It's a beautiful sound. Here's a 4 chord. Let's just record it. 1 chord dominant over the 3rd. There's the 4 chord. Let's do a diminished chord. That diminished chord is the 1 diminished chord back to the home chord. There are many sort of beautiful, slippery chord tricks that appear in gospel music. I want to show you one more beautiful, slidey chord trick that appears in gospel piano, gospel keyboards. I think of it as the Billy Preston sound, where you take the 1 chord and then go up to the 2nd step of the scale. This is B flat minor. Continuing up, this is an inversion of the 1 chord. And then continuing up, an inversion of the 1 chord. Take a look. That was A flat, B flat minor, A flat, B flat minor, A flat, B flat minor. It's a solid sound. We can do the same thing coming down. It's sort of a variation on a jazz locked hands technique that uses alternating major 6 and diminished chords. That's probably for another lesson. Well, Take My Hand, Precious Lord. There's a long tradition of its use as a funeral song. Aretha Franklin rather famously sang it for Mahalia Jackson's funeral. As I mentioned earlier, Mahalia Jackson for Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's funeral. Whatever we think about spirituality and religion, the long tradition of liturgical music is an enormous part of every musician's history, whether it's conscious or not. And the melodic and harmonic and rhythmic patterns in gospel music inform tons of American popular music. I couldn't get along without it. Well, I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe. It's been great doing this with you. And I'll see you next time.